Hey there, and welcome to the Catching Up with Casey show, where we talk about anything and everything that has to do with building cohesive, vision-driven teams. I am Casey Watts, school impact strategist and the host of this show. Now, if you are here, then you inevitably are an instructional leader who wants to make change happen, even when change seems impossible. And you can do that if you have cohesive, vision-driven teams that have done clarity work. They know exactly where they're headed and how they're going to get there. These teams have done identity work, and they've built their self and social awareness skills. And they have done collaboration work, and they know how to move beyond faux collaboration to get to true collaboration where change happens and where people get on board. I'm so excited to bring to you conversations that help you to do exactly that. The work that needs to be done to build cohesive, vision-driven teams. Now, with all of that said, let's dive into today's conversation. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode. We are talking all about the keys to a successful team, communication, collaboration, and yes, you bet, cookies. And I have with me tonight a large group of people. This is actually the largest number of people I've ever had on StreamYard, and I'm super pumped about it. Tonight, I have Creative Solutions coaching team with me, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so we're going to start off tonight by you guys just sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, your aspirations. And Coach Tiffaney, we're going to get started with you.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having us. We are so excited. That your podcast is all about impact, and that's what Creative Solutions Coaching is all about, making a very big impact. I am Coach Tiffaney and one of 7 members of Creative Solutions Coaching. We all started because I had my own business, and I was an author under the pseudonym Phoenix Blue, and I wanted to make a bigger impact. We found ourselves going to professional development, and while we would be there, we were the ones answering questions, leading, helping, serving, and we're like, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to form together and to make a bigger impact as a team. And so Creative Solutions Coaching was born. So we're all here and we're excited to be here today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we already had a little bit of conversation about this adventure that you guys are on, and I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that with our audience so they know exactly who you are and what you can provide, and they can reach out to you. But we're going to go through and have the rest of your team share who they are. And if you have like a specified role with your Creative Solutions coaching team, let us know that too. I do have you guys muted, I think, so be sure to unmute yourself so you're not, like talking and we're all waving you down like, hey, you're muted, the world of like Zoom as it stands today. So let's go through. Jen, I'm going to come to you next.
All right. Hi. Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Jen McLean, and I have been a coach for about 13 years now. On our team of CSC, we are all equal partners, so we are all coaches together. But we have our own little specialty area, and so my specialty area is building relationships with teachers.
Nice. All right, Christina, what about you?
I am a 6-year coach, and funny enough, Jen was an instructional coach for myself when I was a teacher. And so when they welcomed me onto the team, I was really honored. And now to be a part of CSC is an even huger expectation that I would have ever dreamed of. So right now, I would say I've been in education for over 19 years. I've taught from early childhood all the way to 3rd grade. So in the K-5 school that I'm at, I've been able to coach a lot of teachers, but right now I feel like we're in a time of our world where we just have to stay organized. I think time management, things are going by really quickly. And so for my CSC, they call me the, time management mama over here with my own kids, and work-life balance is something I really believe in. So it all incorporates not only for CSC, but also in the teachers that I work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a hot topic is that time management. Okay, Coach Ashley?
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I have been an instructional coach for, believe it or not, 9 years. And I say believe it or not because that time has flown. And I have loved doing all of the things coaching. And also, we've done the things that COVID brought as the surprise coaching. And so one huge piece is when we talk about time is also adult learning. So one of the specialties that I really focus on is making sure that teachers don't have all of the time. How are we going to make this time, this precious time, valuable and give them what they need and how they need it?
Yeah, awesome. Okay, thank you. Coach Amy?
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm Amy Gert. I am the new coach, as I call myself. I've been coaching for 3 years, been in education for 16, which is double digits. I'm passing the 15, which is big. So my specialty is classroom management, just helping support teachers getting those rituals and routines down. And then on the side, they call me the formatting queen because I'm a sucker for a well-formatted document.
Nice. So that's something that I could definitely use you on my team for. Coach Nancy?
Hi, Casey. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Nancy LaRocca, and I have been in education for over 25 years. And this is my 7th year, I believe my 7th year as an instructional coach. And one of my specializations is really providing resources, creating resources, and helping teachers with assessment.
Very cool. Okay, Coach Alyssa, last but not least.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. My name is Alyssa Zajac. I am in my 14th year of education. Been coaching the last about 6 years as well. And my previous role was a special education teacher. I've taught grades kindergarten through 8th. So my background and my specialty is really differentiation and supporting special education students and teachers.
Very cool. Okay, and Tiffany, did you get a chance to tell us a little bit about you, or did you just tell us about the group?
I was able to tell you about the group because that's what we're all about, the team. But now I can put some me in the team. So I am in my 23rd year in education. I will be going into my 7th year as an instructional coach. I have a reading specialist, and my specialty area is social emotional learning. So I make sure that teachers take care of themselves and that this team takes care of themselves as well.
I love
SEL.
it so much. Yeah, this is awesome because, I have a friend who always says, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. And I think instructional coaches can fall into that sometimes. But what the beauty of what you guys offer is you each bring your own specialty to the table. And so when people come to you for support, you know exactly who to send their way, right?
Absolutely. We can meet their needs and meet them where they are. And in fact, that's our whole philosophy. We get to know you first. Where can we meet your needs? Do a little survey. We don't want to assume, just like we do with our students, right? We want to know where can we meet that need.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I want to dive into tonight's topic. We're talking about building a successful team, communication, collaboration, and cookies. And really, if it's okay with you guys, let's dissect that and start with communication first. I know people are going to be really excited to hear about what do we do with cookies? Just give us the good stuff. What do we do with the cookies? Don't worry, audience, we're going to come to that. Oh, and Sherry even has cookies. I love it so much. So let's start with communication. Why do you feel like communication is one of the keys to a successful team?
Yeah, we often hear the phrase communication is key, and it truly is. We have more power in numbers, and the more we work together, the more successful we're going to be. We do it really well as a team, which is why we're here today. It's really an effort on everybody. When we meet with teachers, when we work with each other, admin in our buildings, it's all about communication. It's all about communicating effectively with each other and figuring out what works for us. So we do a lot of shared responsibilities and shared roles, kind of like we just went through about us all having specialties. Everybody has something to offer, big or small, but we're stronger as a one unit and one team, and we play into each other's specialties. We have team roles. We have a strong agenda that we use when we meet as a team. And that trickles down to when we work with teachers and administration as well. We utilize agendas, team roles, responsibilities, and really build each other up.
Yeah. And so this is another thing that's really powerful about your group, because so many instructional coaches are, and I think sometimes they don't even know that they're going to be getting into this kind of role. But what happens is they become responsible for facilitating or leading team planning, PLCs, things like that. So you really have to learn the skill set of communication and also support other people in communicating as well. Like really modeling and teaching teachers, these are some ways we can communicate so that our team is effective. Can anybody speak to what I just said or build on what Alyssa just shared?
Absolutely. Alyssa brought up the fact that we have agendas and shared roles and responsibilities, and you talked to the importance of communicating and modeling it. And so we tend to ask our teachers, how do they like to be communicated with? What forms of communication? And what can we agree would be effective communication? When you establish that, what can we agree to? We're going to have positive talk. We're going to assume positive intent. What can we agree to? We're going to listen. We're going to ask great questions. What is our communication strategy going to be? As a team, when we decide that, then you have that buy-in from the start. So she mentioned some of those things, and I'm sure she could add more to what I said.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention, often when we hear the word communication, we think talking, spewing out information. And I think as a coach, one of the biggest shifts in my mindset was working more on communicating by listening to what's not being said and reading the room, sitting back and sometimes just listening to teachers talk and listening to your administration and each other. Because I think really one of the highest forms of being able to communicate effectively is to first be able to listen effectively and hear what's not being said as a coach.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley. You had something to add on to that.
And I think, to Alyssa's point with that listening piece, I think if you are a new coach, a veteran coach, and everywhere in between, I think the biggest piece is that a lot of times when we take this coaching role, we think, well, we're going to be coaching the people that we're friends with or that we taught with or that we've been on teams with. And a lot of times you might be at a brand new building, a new district. And so really stopping and listening and knowing what the room is telling you by people's body language and their conversations and their questions. I think that's a really key piece, not only in building trust, but then being able to determine in your head, okay, how are we going to approach this situation and knowing how to communicate effectively.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a couple of things, and I did not, just so our audience knows, two things. Number one, I am at an Airbnb. There are kids outside playing, so you could hear that. Number two, I do have a set of questions that I typically ask our audience, but inevitably, and I'm notorious for this, I start listening to our conversation. I'm like, ooh, I want to ask this question. Ooh, I want to talk about this. Ooh, I want to talk about this. So we're going off script. Okay. And that's what makes this beautiful. So I want to ask you guys a little bit about generations, because Tiffaney, what you said really made me think about this. I think too often we go into, as instructional coaches or instructional leaders, we go into a team situation where we make assumptions about how people communicate. But you were talking about like asking people, how can I best communicate with you? I think we have to think about their avenues of communication. Like I heard a teacher the other day, and I think she's probably about my age, but she said, I don't read my emails. I just wait on other people to tell me what I need to know. And so, that's a part of communication. We've got to decide together as a team, like, are we going to allow ourselves, any one of us, to ignore emails? Is text message our best form of communication? Is like a group chat or whatever? So have you guys found that it's different with different generations as far as communication goes?
I have to jump in here because this happened to me this last year. The building I was working in, they are old school, put it in my mailbox, paper copy kind of group. And it took me, after sending, a couple emails, it took me a minute and then I figured it out and I'm like, okay, I'm running copies and I'm, if it was a mass PBIS message or whatever it was. And so I had to figure that out, but they are definitely old school. And we have a lot of older teachers, close to retirement, and they like an old school paper copy in their mailbox. And I can appreciate that. So, I kind of curbed how I communicated so to suit how they would receive it best. Because we know teachers are busy and if they need a paper copy, a paper reminder in their mailbox, then that's what we'll provide to keep things moving. But I think it comes back to like the norms of, and I was new to this building. So for me, it was learning the norms. And if that is the norm that, hey, we put it in a mailbox and everybody knows that, and that's what works, then that's what you keep up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, it also goes back to that relationship building. I've experienced similar to Amy, as we all have. There's different teachers, but when you get to know the teachers, then okay, Susie needs an email follow-up because she's old school. She wants it in her mailbox and she wants to be able to read it on her computer at home. Whereas I had a second-year teacher. She's like, Jen, I don't read my emails. Just text me. And so I'd email it to her. So I was officially had it documented. And I would text her like, hey, check your email, blah, blah, blah. And I would get a response in 2 seconds because she had her watch on. And so building those relationships and knowing what works best for them. There's other things where we have to follow up with teachers. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I've sent like 3 reminders. What else can I do, guys? And so those teachers that you have really good relationships with, they're like, send it at this time, like, I don't know, the day before, but at like 3:00, we get out at 3:05. I need it to be the last thing I see. So through those relationships and those conversations, really listening to what their needs are is going to help you become a better coach as well.
Yeah. And I think too, we can't make the assumption when we become an instructional coach, we absolutely can't make the assumption that people are going to communicate in the way that I communicate. Just like we can't make the assumption that, well, I did this in my classroom all the time. Surely everybody else does this, because it's just not true. And I think sometimes we find that out the hard way, don't we? Ooh.
Sure do.
Okay, so tell me, I think we could like talk for a long, long time about communication in and of itself, because it is so important and it is such a tricky concept, I think, sometimes, because to your point, Jen, like we want to get to know everyone's personality. We want to meet them where they are. At the same time, you have a capacity as an instructional coach, right? So we can only support teachers so much before we max ourselves out. So that's where setting those norms, like this is how we are going to communicate this. It is my responsibility to communicate in that way, and your responsibility to do the same with me. So while we could talk so much more about communication, let's move into now collaboration, which of course has so much to do with communication. But tell our audience a little bit about what you have found are strategies and activities that really foster collaboration among teachers.
Yes, so collaboration is definitely key. And 2 strategies that we use for collaboration, not only as a team, but with the teachers that we work with, is something called lean into listening. And then also a strategy called pause and ponder. And those are two strategies that they're just reminders for coaches in regards to how it is that you listen. So when we lean into listening, we're going to listen, we engage, we affirm, and then we notice things. So that's just one strategy that we use. And then our pause and process also comes along with professional development, professional learning, in which teachers always take a moment to learn something, then they pause, and then they reflect on how it is that they can actually utilize that. But there's so many other things that we do as a team on a daily basis in regards to collaboration, not only with ourselves, but also with the teachers that we work with. First of all, it always comes with that vision. Whatever the vision is for your school, your district, whatever your vision is for your classroom, those are all around common goals that we create, and that's how we collaborate, and that's how we start to, schedule those meetings when teachers have those moments where they have something that they want to do and they come up with a goal in their mind. Well, if we want to accomplish this together, we have to take the time to schedule meetings and plan everything out. And another way we collaborate too is through PLCs. Some districts use those professional learning communities. And that's a great way to share strategies and resources and having those open lines of communication through emails. These are just, a few of the ways that we collaborate. We also provide quite a lot of professional development within our districts that we work. And utilizing technology is another way that we collaborate through our learning management systems. You can stockpile plenty of resources, whichever LMS that you might be using. Another really, really big thing that we do as a team is to celebrate successes with our teachers. Whatever it is that they might be working on, whatever goal they might have, it is so, so important to celebrate those successes and to also provide feedback for when they need that. Not evaluative, but it needs to be something where they can actually use that feedback and apply it to their next steps. There's other ways too that we can collaborate, and part of that is just having time, setting up meetings, and following through with those meetings all the time. Fostering relationships with trust, and also having support from administration is huge, and that will also help to build collaboration.
Yeah. So there are two things that are missing so often, and that is what you said, time and celebration. And I think so often we forget to celebrate. And I think teachers are I think they have a tendency to forget to celebrate themselves because they're always looking for, like, what can I do better? How can I do it better? What have I done wrong? How can I fix it? Those kinds of things. I think it just goes to show that we don't take enough time to celebrate. And it sometimes feels like, where are we going to get this time from? Right. But it's all about, like, stepping back and thinking about the time that we do have. How are we utilizing it right now? How can we utilize our time better? And how can we ensure that we are making growth and celebrating growth a priority in that?
Yes, I agree. I got to jump in. I think it is about you utilizing the time for the vision, like Nancy said. So kind of both of those. We look at the word collaboration, we have co and labor, right? It's going to take some work. We're going to be working together for that vision. And I think one of the things we celebrate on our teams or with the teams that we work on is each person is coming to the team with a strength. As was mentioned, we have the formatting queen. The reason she knows that is because it's celebrated. We have our cookie monster. I mean, she's a cookie queen. Okay. She can make delicious cookies, is Ashley. So we know that each person is going to bring those strengths to the team. That's why it's important to know what each member of the team is bringing. And to have that humility to say, you know what, you're really great at baking the cookies, Ashley. So Tiffaney should not burn them. So don't let her do that. And me being like, okay, I'll learn, later, let her take the lead. That's what you have to do. You're co-laborers together, using your time toward that vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me know if you guys agree with this or not. I think you're going to agree, but I find that the beginning of the school year, so much time is used for curriculum and protocols and procedures and what time do we clock in? What time do we clock out? All of those really logistical things, and not enough time is spent helping teams learn about each other and learn how they each contribute their native geniuses to the team. Like, we miss that every year. So it's no wonder that we go through the year not being able to collaborate as effectively as we could, because we don't know how each person contributes to the team, or we're making assumptions about it.
Absolutely, Casey. If I could jump in, one of the things that we started on our team, we like a theme with the letter C, as you can tell. We had a document, we called it Coaches Coaching Coaches. And so we utilized that. We actually made a spreadsheet and we put in our area of expertise and set aside time where, if Amy was great at Google Sheets or Excel and I'm not, I can schedule some coach time with her and she can coach me in that so I can get better. So I think it's really about lifting each other up through our strengths. And, teachers should do that at the beginning of a PLC. Hey, I'm really great at this if you need support. And then that way, throughout the year, if there's something comes up, you can go and say, hey, this person's an expert in that area. It streamlines it a little bit. It makes, again, you work smarter, not harder, and bring you directly to the source that's going to help you instead of me not knowing a lot, but trying to answer your question and maybe not doing it well. I know exactly who and where to direct you. And I think, again, that builds that collective efficacy of a school and supporting each other that way by really, lifting people up and supporting them. We're our own worst critics and maybe think we're not the experts, but we are, and teachers are.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of coaches, coaching coaches, right? Yeah. Ooh, that was a lot of C's. Let's say that a coach is in a district really on her own, or she's on a campus on her own. There aren't a whole lot of other coaches. How would you suggest that she collaborates with others to support her role? Being the only, being a sole coach, because it can kind of be lonely. So what do you suggest there?
So advice for a new coach who is solo, for sure, you have to find that community. Everyone needs mentoring. Everyone needs connection. In our experience, that's been our experience. That's the strength of our team. We've met many other teams from different districts where they are the solo. They're alone, and that's the reason that we created CSC, is so that we could be there for a coach that would need that type of mentorship, that community. That's why this company was created. And so we, of course, are an opportunity, but there are many networking organizations that you can join, groups that you can partner with as well. Find the local coaches in your area. Go to PD where you're going to meet other coaches. There's several different opportunities that you could try to take advantage of. But again, I know 7 stellar coaches that would love to help and support a new coach, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And at the end of this episode, you guys are going to share more about how you can support other coaches. We want to hear all about it. But let's dig into that final C for tonight. So our topic for tonight, keys of a successful team. We've talked about communication. We've talked about collaboration. Now let's talk about the most delicious part, which is the cookies. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about cookies and how it builds a successful team.
Well, we already heard that Ashley's the cookie maniac, amazing, wonderful baker. All the husbands want to know what the secret is, and we just lie and say, "Oh, I made them. But we all know. So she gets a lot of kudos to the cookie idea. And the cookies actually came from COVID, another C, not a good C. But the 7 of us were working at the same district at the time, and we were feeling heavy. I think as coaches, we were just saying how we lift everyone up and we celebrate them. And as a first year coach with COVID, with these amazing women by my side, I was able to be lifted up by them. And we realized we weren't getting work done. Our vision was messy. Our administration was very stressed. Our teachers were stressed, and we were the glue to hold everyone together. And that's a lot of pressure, and we wanted it. We do not shy away from it. It is in our personality. And I'll shout out Coach Alyssa, because all of a sudden she said, guys, I did this with my students, and I think we need a team building activity. We all need to decide on a dessert that we all would happily eat during this meeting, because of course we're always hungry. Teachers love food too. What would be something we could all bring in? And we were talking brownies, caramel, peanut butter, no. And long story short, it became a chocolate chip cookie. Now, it does not have nuts, because Nancy cannot have nuts. It's got to be a chocolate chip cookie. It's got to be soft. And so, of course, that's what Ashley makes the perfect, with a little salt, sea salt on top. So we decided that is our team activity. And look at us now. This was back, oh my gosh, this was when I first started. So now I'm about to be a 6-year coach, about 6 to 5 years ago. And we realized it was a way to connect. We connect all the time. We talked about it earlier with communication, collaboration. It's something we do. It's something we do with our teachers. Every single meeting we have, whether it's with a team or individually or with an administrator, we want to connect. We want them to build that trust and relationship. And it's just a norm that we have to stay engaged. I want to know, if this is not the topic right now, if this is not the time to have PLC and we need to talk about your morning, let's get it off of our chest, because we are still human. I am a coach and I'm listening, like Alyssa had mentioned. So again, we found something in common. So that's where the cookies came up. But it's really just that simple team building. We laugh, we find joy, we cry, we are open with one another. We have to work outside of our district to do our CSC work. And we have our kiddos hanging on us, and we'll laugh and we'll say, we got to go. We can help one another. And I think it's because we can find that joy together. We meet on Sundays. We call it our Sunday Fun Day, bright and early, right? We don't have our cameras on, because who knows what happened the night before. But we really just celebrate each other. Tiffaney really mentioned that we celebrate our teachers, but coaches, please celebrate yourself. And if you don't have someone on your team, I highly recommend listening to what Tiffaney had mentioned earlier. We have to affirm, we have to model affirming each other, because then it spreads to your teachers, it spreads to your building. I came from a building that was very siloed, and I realized their culture climate was very negative. And I felt the more I modeled the positivity, it turned completely around. They knew where to go. They now are building trust with their teams, because I almost brought them together. It's that relationship guru, and it's just a way to grow. So we really believe in growth, and part of that H in growth is heartfelt and humor. And I hope you can feel and radiate the heartfelt and humor that we CSC are really proud of. And for a team of 7, it's pretty impressive, knowing we all have different backgrounds, different age groups, different responsibilities on top of all of our amazing work we've done has still brought us together. I think that's our cookie magic right there. And it's delicious. And I think we have a lot more to do, but we're really proud of where we are. And that's enough for now.
Yeah, that's just simply amazing. And so if I'm accurate, cookies really is symbolic, right? And I just imagine, like, even showing the cookies in this episode, I was like, you have cookies? I mean, I can't have any, right? But I can imagine it. And you're talking about how good they are. And now I'm like, now it's time to mail me some. I'm going to expect some in the mail at some point. Yeah, absolutely.
We can make that happen.
Okay. Well, they probably won't be as good as they would be like right out of the oven, but I surely can imagine them. But here's what I notice instructional leaders do so often, and they miss the mark on it. They try to create a positive morale with stuff, right? Like, for example, we're going to have a sunshine card. We're going to have Cokes on Friday, whatever it is, Jeans Pass. I don't care what it is. You guys know, like we've heard it, we've seen it. Here's what's different about what you're saying is that it becomes a norm that This is something we do to build relationships and to build trust and to see a more human side of us. Am I right in that?
You are right, Casey. Another C for Casey.
That's, hey, you need another team member? I can be the other C.
You know, Casey, it really, I think along our journey, and I think that the reason that our journey, it wasn't immediate. You know, we've started having conversation years ago, and throughout all of this, you know, everything hasn't been sunshine and roses for every single teammate, right? And Christina really hit the, you know, point. We've celebrated together. We've cried together. We're able to be vulnerable so that when there's things that come up, we don't have that fear of judgment. And I think that that really is what has grown our team. And, you know, we talk about the, you know, the effect size of, you know, that building, you know, collaborative, that, you know, that piece, it also goes right into teams. And so, you know, we think, oh, this has to be something that a collective efficacy that a building does, but even just within, you know, your team, whether it be your coaching team, whether that be your teaching team, I think that piece really speaks volumes and is why we're here today.
Yeah,
absolutely. Ashley, oh, I'm sorry, Casey.
Nope. Go for it.
And, you know, some other teams, your cookie may not be chocolate chip cookies. That's the whole point, is for you to find what is your cookie, what is that connection. Because one thing we know, no matter how difficult the meeting is or how much work we have, if we have those chocolate chip cookies, that's something we have in common for sure. No one's allergic. I can remember an instance when, you know, someone thought that they had really done a great job ordering pizza for the group, but someone there, she was like, if only I could have pizza, you know? So the homework hadn't been done yet to really find what is that connection amongst everyone. And that is the job of the teams. That's what's going to build that collective efficacy and collaboration and communication, is starting with that connection, those cookies, the cookie magic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So this reminds me of, I did an episode with Peter DeWitt and Mike Nelson last week and week before last. And one of the things they are writing about, so they've written a book called Intentional Leadership. And it is really about like collective efficacy in leadership and building collective efficacy. But they, at the beginning of a workshop that they're going to do, before they even begin the workshop, they'll send out a Google form to all of the attendees. And in that form, it's just very basic human things like, what's your favorite soda? What's your favorite this? What do you like from this place? And they will go out the night before and get like a soda. And so they have all of these very specific things for the people that are coming into this workshop. And they talk so much about building that human interconnectedness. And it's a powerful thing. It's just like when I sit down, there's a big difference between me sitting down and having a conversation with someone without anything in my hands and me sitting down with a hot cup of coffee in my hands. You know, like there's just something that those things that you're talking about, the cookies, the candy, the coffee, the place that you meet, there's something about it that breaks down barriers between you and the person that you are coaching or leading. All right. So ladies, we're kind of reaching the end of the episode, and I really want to know, number one, if you're here with us tonight in the audience, we want to know what has been most useful for you. But ladies, I'm going to ask you guys two things. Number one, what do you hope our audience takes away from tonight's episode? Number two, let's talk about, you've got a PDF that was attached to the show notes. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that. And then we're going to end by you guys sharing like anything that our audience can gain from you in ways they can connect with you. So what do you hope they gain from tonight's episode?
Oh, well, hopefully a squad of 7 wonderful, strong women by their side, but really just that coaching can be isolating. And it's so important to really reach out to other coaches to collaborate with, whether it's in your district. We'd mentioned even online. I mean, even Casey, I mean, look at this amazing community you've already developed and how helpful it is for all of us. But that we really are here for you. There's some new coaches, teachers who are looking to become a coach and knowing they have a lot of these wonderful traits that maybe have been shining this past hour. But I think we just want to make sure that we know that no one's alone, because this is a hard job and I couldn't have done it without all these women staring at me. And I am so grateful, because as much as PD I was given and books I've read, I needed a mentor. I needed someone to hold my hand and be there with me, because there's nothing more authentic than having someone to talk to, someone just listen to me and let me try it out on you, right? I can only coach my husband so many times. I need someone better to help me really improve my craft. And we're constantly learning. It's who we are. Coaches want to become better. And I think it's something that we really are striving for, to make sure that you have that wonderful one-on-one help, but also a great connection that's going to be with you every step of the way. Anything else, team, that I forgot?
Well, they can certainly connect with us on Creative Solutions Coaching, Creative Solutions Squad on social media, Creative Solutions Squad at gmail.com as well. But I think it's important for them to know, sometimes we have to know who cares for the caregiver. You're probably giving so much care as a leader, an instructional leader, to everyone else. And it's our job as a team to care for you. And so that is important for you to get a little couture coaching from us, right? Have someone to be your little team around you to help you to go to the next level. So that's something that we can definitely promise. I think Nancy could speak to the resource that we have for you.
Absolutely. I would love to. So Coaching by the Quarter is a resource that a coach can use for every quarter of the year. It was broken apart into quarters, but if you don't use quarters, you could use semesters, whatever you would like. And it just gives you ideas about what you can do to help communicate, collaborate, and bond with your teachers. So there's a bunch of different ideas on there, like getting to know you activities, sending out surveys, like the one that Casey had mentioned. That's something that's on our Coaching by the Quarter. Setting up meetings with teachers, setting up meetings with principals. It's just a resource that you can use, just like a checklist, as you go through the year to make sure you're continually collaborating, connecting, and bonding with your teachers.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to pop this little comment up here. Melody said, "Hi, this was an amazing conversation. I'm new to coaching and all of your gems were well received. How do we gain access to the PDF document that was mentioned?" Guys, if you look in the show notes, now you can look in the show notes on YouTube, but it's kind of hard to navigate some things because the show notes in YouTube are not linkable. However, if you go to iTunes or Spotify, and I'm going to say probably this evening is when you'll see it there, you'll be able to click on any of the links in the show notes to access these ladies and to access the PDF document. So if all of that fails for you and you're like, I still can't find it, then just reach out to us and I will navigate you to them, or they will provide whatever it is that you are looking for. Okay, ladies, this has been, like Melody said, an amazing conversation. I've enjoyed it so much. I hope to connect with you again in the future. We can do another podcast. And thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity.
All right, yeah.
Thanks for having us, Casey.
Having us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you, Casey.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. Hey there. Thanks for joining this episode. I would love for you to do me 3 solid favors before you head out. Number 1, subscribe to this show. I've got a lot of great guests and content coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Number 2, share this show. Share it with your like-minded colleagues and friends and those leaders who are eager to build cohesive, vision-driven teams. And finally, connect with me on all the social media platforms. You can find me at Catch Up with Casey on Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Until next time, go off and create teams that leave people feeling inspired, empowered, and eager for more each day.